If you're like me, you might feel like a lot of the financial advice that you hear is a little bit outdated. Why? Because the rules that we're taught to follow were designed for an inflexible and largely linear world. That world is now dead. For example, we don't work at the same company for 40 years and then retire at age 65 with a pension. The world that we live in today evolves far more quickly than that. What's far more common is maybe you work for a company for 5 years, then you move jobs, maybe move cities, maybe you start a business part time. Along the way, you probably take a couple years off to have some kids or take a sabbatical just to get right mentally. Adaptability and flexibility becomes very important. But the tools that we have don't work like that. For example, the 401k accounts that you're always encouraged to save into, those were created in 1978. The 30-year mortgage that you're encouraged to use to buy a home is from the 1950s. Social Security, what you hear about all the time on television or the internet, was created in 1933. This is before we had the internet, before remote work, before the gig economy, before any of this. So I feel like we're constantly told that, hey, if we just save into these accounts, all our wishes will come true. If we just save more, we can buy a house. If we just save more, we can retire. It kind of feels like somebody's telling me if I put all my gas into this car, it'll run. But they're not telling me that this car is a Model T Ford. If all your money is locked up in a 401k, you're not going to be able to access it until age 59 and a half. So when life changes and you want to start a business at 45, or maybe semi-retire and take a sabbatical at 40 or 50, or phase out gradually, work part-time, then consult, you just can't because your money is locked up in a tool that wasn't designed to do any of that. If you want to buy a house with a 30-year mortgage, but maybe your industry shifts, or you get a remote job, or an opportunity in a different city pops up, or life circumstances just change, you're still stuck because you're tied to one location with a tool that assumes that you'll never move. Certainly, using these tools the way we're told can help you accumulate more money. But after doing this for 10 years, I can promise you that most people do not really care how much money they have. The only thing they care about is can they do with that money what they want to do when they want to do it. If you want flexibility, then using rigid tools in rigid ways may make you more money, but it will certainly detract from flexibility. This is why at Aspasia, sequence matters, because sequence provides decision points where you can evaluate and adjust based on current reality instead of committing everything up front. Following a sequence doesn't lock in future steps, only the next step. So here's how this actually works. Before you lock up anything, you need to answer three questions. Number one is how much money comes in every month, how much goes out every month, and how much can you actually control? This tells you your baseline. Once you know your baseline, you know what you actually need to be stable. Then the next step of the sequence is to build 4 to 6 months of those expenses that have to go out into savings, money you can access without penalty. This is your foundation. And this creates flexibility because now you have a cushion. You can take a risk. You can walk away from a job. You can handle the emergency. You're not operating from a point of panic. If we've accomplished those steps in the sequence, we can then start moving into some of these more rigid tools. But strategically, you want to retire early? Don't just max a traditional 401k out. Utilize some Roth options so you can access your contributions before age 59 and a half. Add a taxable non-retirement account that's fully liquid and no penalties and accessible anytime. So if you want to start a business at 45, you can do it now because you have liquid savings and accessible funds outside of a restricted 401k account. You want to semi-retire at age 50? You have money that you can now access, not just at age 59 and a half. Life changes, your goals and circumstances change. But because you built flexibility into the foundation, you can shift. Because with a sequence, you are only committed to the next step, not all future steps. So when reality changes, which it always does, you can change with it.